Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about 10 things that I wish I knew when I started playing this game. Some big things, some major mistakes, and some small things that I still wish I had actually known about. We're going to skip the super basics. You guys know not to feed your legendary champions. You know not to feed your epic champions. You know not to upgrade your flat stat artifacts. And you know some like kind of great haul tips. Don't load up an attack percentage, for example. So we're going to skip all that stuff that we've covered already in the past and talk about some other stuff that I wish I knew. As you guys can see from this intro here, I've made plenty of mistakes in my Raid Shadow Legends history. And by the way, guys, as we get to the number one mistake here that I have for you guys, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. If you like the content here, happy to have you guys. I do upload on a daily basis here on the channel. So tip number one is going to be speed tuning, having the correct order and the correct speed on all of my champions. Now this applies not just to clan boss. When we think about speed tuning a team, we think generally about, okay, clan boss, need to have a set speed on everybody, gotcha. No, it's really every dungeon, right? So especially as it pertains to turn meter boosters, thinking of champions like Apothecary, champions like Seeker, Haikatoon. There's a lot of these champions out there in the game, and they're some of the better champions to have. You know, we're going against one right here in Prince Kaimar has a speed turn meter booster on his A3. But anyway, guys, we're going to use Arbiter because she's already on my team. Now, when I say this, you know, think about three major components of almost every team. You usually have a nuker, you usually have a defense down, and a lot of teams have, you know, that Apothecary, that kind of the turn meter booster, right? So what you want to do is the turn meter booster, we're going to use Arbiter, for example. She has 30% turn meter boost of all allies. Now, it's imperative that I have my allies, my debuffer, going immediately after she does this boost. So in order to accomplish that, all I simply do is take the total speed of Arbiter, which in this case is 334, I times that by 0.3, or I get 30% of that, which is basically 100 on the money here for the most part. So I need to make sure the speed of my next champion is 235, 234, 235, right? That's going to ensure that when she does that boost, none of the enemies are going to get a chance to go. It's going to boost that debuffer up, so they're next. You want to keep the chain of turn meter in your favor. This especially is important when pertaining to the arena. So again here, I want to have a 224 on my, in this example, it is Molly Tankard. Now, do as I say, don't do what I do. I need a couple more pieces of speed gear because I do have her in immunity gear. I just need to get a little bit more speed, which I can do with a glyph here, but I need to get this speed over to 34. That way she's automatically up next. As it stands right now, and the problem with his team right now is that Arbiter is going to go, she's going to boost up to 30% on Molly, but if any of these champions fall between her speed and Molly's speed, they're going to get to go, they're going to break the chain, it's going to make a dramatic impact. Again, this applies to dungeons as well. You don't want the enemies to break your chain. So that is my first tip to you guys. Make sure you understand the order of the champions that you want to go in this game, and also you can see right there, for a split second, Molly Tankard was not at full turn meter. So I got lucky with this team, but it came very, very close here. So again, just something that's important. You want the turn meter booster to go first. You want whatever that turn meter boost is. If it's 15%, if it's 30%, you want your next champion to go automatically next after you do that turn meter boost, and usually that next champion is going to be either your CC champion or your defense down champion, and then your nuker goes last. And again, your nuker should also be, you know, ready within kind of a speed threshold as well. So that is my first tip for you guys. Tip number two is going to be the importance of crit damage. So staying here with this arena team, because we're already on the screen, check it out here, guys. The way that you build champions to actually do a lot of damage is, shocker, it is crit damage. Now again, maybe not the best example here because I do have a lot of attack on my Trunda, but that's because she has attack boots on, and that's something that is really arena specific and team specific. But generally speaking, I have made the mistake early on in this game of loading my champions up with a bunch of attack or a bunch of defense, and I didn't really pay attention to the other stats that much. I knew I should build their crit rate to 100%, but I did not prioritize crit damage, especially on a couple of of champions I want to point out for you guys right now, and that is Cold Heart and Royal Guard, two of the most popular champions in this game. In case you missed my last Cold Heart review, I have a couple of them built out here, but you will see, guys, that I don't have any attack. Attack on a attacking, her third skill is attack based on enemy max HP, right? So I don't even care about her attack. 2,800, that's fine. Of course, yes, it will impact her first two attacks a little bit in terms of the overall strength, but I'd much rather have that high crit damage here at 334. Crit damage matters a lot in terms of overall damage output. Prioritize crit damage. After you have the crit rate there, sure, you still want attack on attack-based champions. You still want some defense on defense-based champions. If you can get away with putting attack chest on them, go ahead and do so on attack-based champions. But that being said, very important to look for those sub-rolls on pieces of gear for crit damage. It compounds much better, and it can really just raise the roof in terms of overall damage output. Tip number 3 is, this is one that I mentioned here on the channel a few times, but I didn't know about this until, I'm embarrassed to say, maybe 6 months after I was playing this game. I never looked in the market. I never went in the market. But hey guys, just buy a mystery shard every day. Get your mystery shard. Your daily quest is going to be complete, and this daily quest is solid. You get 5 arena tokens. 5 arena tokens, and this kind of goes hand in hand, parlaying these two tips together, is, take advantage of the arena in the very beginning of this game. For some weird reason, I held off on arena and faction crypts. I was just like, yeah, faction wars and arena, that's not for me. That's for the mid game and the end game. No, it is for you. Faction wars are going to get you glyphs, which are helpful no matter what level you're facing against. And arena 2 is going to help you start upgrading that Great Hall, which applies to every area of the game inside your Great Hall. So it's very helpful and beneficial to work on your Great Hall pretty much out the gate inside this game. Next tip is going to be farm. Where to farm? So for, again, after they came up with the Nightmare campaign, after they released that patch in the game, I used to just go in Nightmare and go to like 12, whatever. I think I went to like 12-6 and I just farmed here because I figured, hey, it's the most difficult stage. I must be getting the best rewards. But actually considering how much energy you spend to farm, it is way better to go ahead and farm in 12-3. Now, why 12-3? Because shields actually sell for more silver than the rest of the artifacts. And granted, it's a little bit more, but when you compound that by hundreds, if not thousands of attacks, it's gonna really make a difference, talking millions of silver. So you should be farming in Brutal, if you can do it, providing you can get there, right? Is Brutal Stage 3, that's where you get the most silver. If you only care about experience, go ahead and farm Stage 6, but I would still go with Stage 3, that way you can maximize your silver while you're still getting experience for the rest of your champions. Bonus tip for you guys too, if you want to level up a couple champions at a time, just realize here, like if I want to level up, let's see, just pick two random champions, they're gonna split the extra XP. So just keep that in mind. I think most of you guys realize that. This is not one of my 10 things I wish I knew, but if I have 3 champions here, they're gonna be splitting the XP 4 ways. If I'm only farming with 3 champions, they're gonna be splitting it 3 ways, and this way only 2 ways. The fastest way to level up one character, if you want to, is just go ahead and use just 2 characters. Your farmer here, Queen Ava in my case, and your champion that you want to try to level up. The next one here is a small one. We can go over this one really quickly. And this one is, I used to do all this trial and error when it came to, okay, what stat matters more on these dual stat champions? And I way just overthought it so much. And it's these stats that scale. This goes with any champion, not just Mountain King, right? But these stats that scale off of HP and attack, or there's all kinds. Defense and attack and defense, speed, even some champions have. If they scale on 2 things, the first stat is the most important, right? That's it. That's the tip, but it's true, okay? So you want to, for Mountain King, for example, it says HP, then attack. You want to focus mainly on HP and then worry about attack kind of as a secondary thought. But most of the, like 80% of my effort is going to be going into working on the first stat listed on a player's damage based on ability. Next is going to be this is one that I thought about maybe not putting on here, but you know, I do this, so why not tell you guys? If you guys are not going to purchase, let's see, where is it? The raid card. So looking at the raid card here, you can see that you get 70 plus multi-battle attempts. That means I can auto attack 100 times a day, every single day if you have the silver raid card or the gold raid card. It's both the same in terms of the perks. So if you have that, that's good. Most people aren't doing more than 100 attacks a day unless you're a big spender or at least a medium spender in the game, and then you probably have your own game plan. But I'm speaking more to people who don't even have the raid card at all. You're limited to 30 battles a day. I would advise you consider YouTube searching, if you have a PC or a laptop, YouTube searching an auto clicker script, and you'll see there's a bunch of videos on there, and then you can farm overnight and just set up an auto clicker. All you have to do, a lot of these videos out there, is just copy paste the code or whatever. It's really easy. If I can do it, you guys can too. So that's a way to farm without having to buy the silver, the gold raid card, where you actually get 100 auto attacks, where you don't have to keep pressing the button again and again and again. So I would advise you guys do that as well. I always kind of considered and flirted with the idea of doing the auto-click farming at night, and then one day I just did, and I was like, wow, that was really easy. Why did I do that earlier? So there you go, guys. The next one is a very basic one. Spend your gems wisely, and the best bang for your buck in terms of gems is just energy, right? Energy is a great resource in this game, and I think early on in this game, I just spent gems kind of wherever I had the opportunity. One dumb thing I did was in the shop here, I actually spent gems on silver quite a bit. So I'm pretty embarrassed to say that, you know, silver, you want to be, listen, I know that silver is hard to come by in this game, and if you really need it desperately, go ahead and make that decision if you're comfortable doing so. But you're way better off than spending 1,400 gems on 4 million silver. That's it? That's it. You're way better off just buying energy, farming spider, and then selling the accessories. You'll get way more for 1,400 worth of gems. So just try to think ahead of time. And the same thing goes for really all of these gem purchases in the gem shop. You know, big shard pack is all right, I guess, if you really want to open shards, but you know, you're still, again, if you're not free to play and you're gonna be buying your gems anyway, you're better off to just wait for a good ancient shard offer rather than wasting your gems 900 for 11 shards, right? That's pretty expensive. So I would advise you guys stay away from the gem shop and the bank unless you really, really need it. And that's something that I did almost an embarrassingly amount in the beginning of this, you know, me playing this game. Next is going to be order matters for counterattacking. Now, this is kind of a niche one. I think a lot of you guys probably already know this, so I'll be quick with it. But essentially, when you have a team here, when you have a team for Clan Boss here especially, it doesn't matter everywhere, but you want your counterattacker, if you have Skull Crusher or Valkyrie or Martyr, you want them to go last, because when the counterattack, so let's just pretend we all have counterattack on all my champions here, right? And then the counterattack procs, the Clan Boss attacks us, right? They're gonna attack in the order in these positions. See my little cursor here? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, Turvolt's 4, and 5. So what you want to have happen here, obviously, is you want to position your champions so that the champions who are going to apply debuffs or any special skills that might affect your other champions in your team, you want them to go first, right? So it's just kind of an obvious thing here, but it's worth noting that they will counterattack in that order here. And it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's something that, you know, I never knew in the beginning, now I know. The next one is speed. I did not put a large enough emphasis on speed in the early game, man. I mean, you look at any of my dungeon teams, except for one exception in Ice Golem with Dark Elaine, which I talked about on, I think, my, I don't know, what the heck video is that? Either way, it doesn't matter. But, you know, 90% of the time here, guys, your team is going to have speed boots on, right? And I don't know, like an idiot again here. I'm just going to go to my nuker here, Seer. So, you know, I care about Seer's crit damage, I care about her attack and stuff like that, but if I go to her in my champion screen, you'll see that any champion that I'm going to be nuking with in dungeons, Again, the exception is maybe in Arena. If I can get their speed to where it needs to be without boots, that's cool, right? Or in Clan Boss, same thing. If I can get them to enough speed to where, you know, they're 200 speed already and I can put defense boots on them, all the better. Kind of the same thing with attack boots in the Arena. But with those two exceptions, which really applies more to the end game, you just want to be going speed. And even with those exceptions, you can see Seer, for example, she's my main nuker, and I have speed boots on her. Listen, what good is a champion with 6,000 attack if they're only attacking once every, 4 turns for the enemies, right? I exaggerate, but having the champions actually take more turns can make much more of a profound and dramatic impact on your overall capabilities of these champions if you actually have them speedy, right? So you're looking for at least 160 speed on all of your champions that you're using. Closer to 200, the better is a general rule of thumb, and even higher is better too. They're just going to be taking more turns. Think about it too. Champions that have a really good buff, like a defense down or defense up for your team, and they have it on a 3-turn cooldown, but it only lasts for 2 turns. Well, if you build them super fast, even though it's on a 3-turn cooldown, your champion might be taking 3 turns for every 2 turns of another champion. So it's another benefit of speed in this game. So again, to kind of the recap here, speed is something that I wish I paid more attention to in the early game. Speed boots pretty much on everybody. And the last tip I have for you guys is upgrade order on artifacts. For whatever reason, I have no idea, but I just kind of randomly, haphazardly upgraded my artifacts on my champions. I didn't really think much about it. Just thought, okay, let's upgrade artifacts. Let's just go for it, right? And in all sincerity, guys, I was wrong, man. You should go ahead and prioritize the middle row, right? So you want to focus on your gauntlets, your chest piece, and your boots first. Then, so what I would advise you guys do is upgrade everything to level 12 first on a champion, all right? So start with level 8, everything goes to level 8. And then take everything to level 12. And then you should not touch your top line. I don't care how good the rolls are, right? You shouldn't be touching, because again, these are flat stats: attack, HP, and defense. You should be touching the middle row. You can get way more bang for your buck on crit damage percentage, attack percentage, and again, speed, right? These are way better to upgrade than just the base stats at the top. So again, this might be obvious to a lot of people. It might not be obvious to some of you guys. That's why I mentioned it here. Again, I didn't pre-plan 10 tips. It just came to 10 things that I wrote down to kind of share with you guys. So that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully at least 1 or 2 of these tips helped you out. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I invite you to subscribe if you like the content here. I appreciate you guys watching until the very end. And as always, take care, guys.